It's Jane Wright here to talk about another autonomic dysfunction. This one in particular has to do with having excess nitrogen bioaccumulate. It can be anywhere. What is it about nitrogen? What are the properties of it? Well, in many ways it's kind of opposite to oxygen. Some people consider oxygen a life force and nitrogen a death force. Nitrogen, you look at your garden in the fall and winter, the plants that have a high nitrogen content can actually handle a frost, which is a pretty amazing thing. A lot of plants just kind of explode but things like kale, collards, no problem for them. They can handle it. Even chives, they have enough nitrogen that the cold is not a big deal. They're living with something much more intense than that. So what happens and why nitrogen is universally excessive in people who are what? They're getting older, or they are older. So like virtually everyone who's, let's just say, over 55 is starting to accumulate too much nitrogen somewhere. And if you can keep a step ahead of that, it's possible to not have things go quite so poorly in terms of the aging process. There are times when people who are not old who get excess nitrogen. Oftentimes someone who gets really terrible menstrual cramps, women, when they're writhing on the floor in pain, practically vomiting with the pain, they're usually having just tremendous amounts of nitrogen in the uterine area. Or, people who get colitis, extreme irritability of the large bowel. Oftentimes they have a lot of nitrogen in that particular segment. Whenever you think of cramping, of course, the whole body, whenever there's an injury, the gesture that's made is to kind of go into protective spasm. But this kind of cramp is kind of above and beyond that. It's usually more severe, a cramp that has related to excess nitrogen. So how does one treat this? And how would you know? The way you're going to know you have too much nitrogen in an area is that strong cramping. And frankly, if you're 55 or over, you might as well do this, starting to do it with some regularity, to keep this is another condition where you can have like a million layers of this. It's not just one layer of nitrogen bioaccumulating. It's 20, 30 layers of nitrogen bioaccumulating, and that's why the cramping can get so severe. So the center one uses to treat the excess nitrogen is this center here. It includes the upper teeth, and it goes up along the inside of both eyebrows and comes up to what people call the third eye. The gate of death, but in some people's language. And so you have this triangle, which you can most readily be certain of grasping properly by putting your fingers on the inside of each eyebrow. And you have to activate that center. So this is the center. I'm going to activate that. Once again, we're 7 to 9 inches in front of the navel, and then grasping that big triangle. And in this case, again, doing this top, bottom, right, left, it's a kind of like a T or a cross. activating it. And again, once it's activated for life. So you might want to do this hooked onto the morning, because usually this excess nitrogen has bioaccumulated overnight. So again, you grasp hold of that triangle and either eyebrow. Put your other hand on your body somewhere where you suspect too much nitrogen, or just imagine the whole body underneath it. And there's an induction. You're going to make this big triangle as if you had a big piece of triangular chalk. You're going to make a big shape with that. And in this case, the shape is you're going down to the right buttock with your movement. So it looks like this. "15 times, and hold for 45 seconds. And then you have the question of whether to do other layers. The older you get, the more of this you get. So, the average, I'm 67 years old at the moment. I might do 2 or 3 repetitions, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Or if there's an area that really seemed crampy, you can actually just sort of have the experience of the crampiness peel away the more you do this. But it's a wonderful adjunct to trying to grow old gracefully. When you have too much nitrogen, you get this kind of gray pallor to your skin. And, it's not really great for life. It's kind of a death force. But in any case, it's pretty universal. Doesn't seem like anybody gets away with it. And it's a good tool for your arsenal.